Hey guys, welcome to Ryan's Running Reviews. Today we're taking a look at the brand new On Cloudrunner. Let's run with it. Before we get started, I do want to say these shoes were provided to me by Roadrunner Sports. However, they didn't have a chance to preview this video, and this final synopsis is my own. I'd also like to say please leave a like on the video, consider commenting and subscribing as it really helps me make these videos. Here we go. The On Cloudrunner is a light stability daily trainer meant for road running, and according to On, they also said this could be used for indoor training, which I assume to mean like weights or various other fitness classes. So it does have some other kind of use cases, but primarily this is going to be a light stability road running shoe. This $140 shoe is made up of 35% recycled materials and comes in at a very precise 10.58 ounces for a men's size 8.5. And yes, that is going to be slightly heavy for a daily trainer, especially when we compare it to the Cloud Monster, which is over there in the corner, which has a much thicker midsole and comes in at almost a full ounce lighter. As far as the stack height goes, I actually had to ask On directly. They don't typically publish this on their website because the stack height of their shoes is a little bit different compared to most other daily trainers. And the big reason for that is their shoes have holes through the midsole, which I guess technically change how much foam is between the ground and your heel. But according to On, they have a very precise 28.4 millimeters of stack height in the heel of the On Cloudrunner with a 9 millimeter drop from the heel to the toe. The midsole is made out of zero gravity foam, the same kind of compound we saw on the On Cloud 5. This is like a more traditional EVA foam base. Now this is going to be a little bit less soft and bouncy compared to the Helion foam, which we saw on the On Cloudrunner. So this is going to be a little bit more stable, which makes sense because this is a light stability shoe. And if you're not familiar with On's cushioning technology, I'll give you a quick rundown. Essentially, each one of these components is called a CloudTech unit. They compress and spring back as you run. And then in the middle of the shoe, they feature something called a speed board, which you can actually see if you flip the shoe over. It's the plastic plate, you can see it right here in the middle, that runs the full length of the shoe. Now it's going to be a little bit wider here on the Cloudrunner, so this plastic plate is going to be a little bit more stable because this is a light stability shoe. And the whole purpose of the speed board is to disperse energy across those CloudTech units, give you a little bit more of a consistent feel, and add a little bit more of like an energized toe-off sensation, kind of like a carbon fiber plate, nowhere near as dramatic, and you really don't feel it a whole lot, but it does kind of give you a little bit more energy turn as you run. So that's kind of the whole gist of On's cushioning and energy return in their midsoles, and it's kind of what separates them from the rest of the competition. And because this is a light stability shoe, we do get some small foam guardrails, primarily on the medial side, and then there's a small one here on the lateral side. And then on top of that, we do have a different kind of shape to the On CloudTech units on the medial side than we do on the lateral side. This just gives you a little bit more support in case your foot rolls in. So you have three different components that make this a light stability shoe. The first one is a slightly wider speed board that gives a slightly more stable experience. We do get those foam sidewalls, and then a different kind of geometry to the medial side of the foam CloudTech. And again, all this does is provide a slightly more stable experience. I wouldn't classify this as like a truly max stability shoe, but it does give you a little bit more guidance. So in my opinion, the On Cloudrunner is definitely going to be a more firm ride. The only place you notice some cushioning is going to be in the heel area, just because that's where most of the foam is, but through the forefoot, it is going to be a much more firm experience. There's not much ground contact. You really don't feel the ground at all, just because you have that plastic plate and then that zero gravity foam underneath. But there's not a whole lot of energy return here. You do get a little bit of cushioning, and maybe for like an On shoe, this is a slightly more cushioned experience if you're used to like the On brand, if you will, in their typical shoes. But again, if you're coming from something like the Cloud Monster with that Helion foam and higher stack height, this is going to run much firmer, which I think makes sense because this is a light stability shoe and you don't want too much squish underfoot. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I just would keep aware that it is going to provide a much more firm experience if you're coming from some other brands. And part of the reason I say this shoe is on the firmer end of things is because the plastic speed board really does sit right below your foot. So it goes the insert, that plastic speed board, and then the foam midsole, which is a different experience compared to most shoes where it's the insert and then just the foam midsole, which you start to experience that foam right away, which is different than On because you have to go through the speed board to essentially feel that foam. So it's a different sensation compared to most other shoes, so it depends where you're coming from. And yes, the midsole is going to be a little bit more firm, but there's not a whole lot of ground contact, and I think it depends what you're looking for. So it's nice if you kind of want to have a less mushy experience, really kind of start to roll up and pick up the speed a little bit. I think it works well. It just won't give you a ton of energy return, so it really depends what you're looking for. And as far as the stability experience goes, because the foam's a little bit harder, you have all those various features we talked about before, I think it kind of provides a light stability experience. It's not super intrusive, not super noticeable, so if you want a little bit of extra kind of support on that medial side, I think it does help. But if you want a true kind of like max stability experience, I would probably go with a different option. As far as the upper goes, I was actually quite impressed. It's rather plush, very comfortable, and the breathability isn't bad at all. It's kind of like middle of the road, not too bad, not too great. Typically when you have a daily trainer this comfortable, the breathability kind of takes a hit, but I thought it was rather decent here. The gray sections in the toe box and on the lateral side provided the best breathability, and you kind of get these plastic overlays that give you most of the structure to the upper. The tongue is non-gusseted, very plush and extremely comfortable, didn't have any issues. Ankle and Achilles area, plenty of padding, very plush premium experience, which kind of builds into the whole story of the upper. Very comfortable, very soft, and again, the breathability wasn't bad at all, which is typically not the case with shoes this comfortable. Now again, this is probably the reason the shoe weighs almost a full ounce more than the Cloud Monster, but overall I thought the Lockdown was superb, fit true to size. It's going to be a little bit more secure, a little bit more narrow compared to the On Cloud Monster, especially in the forefoot, but I thought the On Cloud Monster had a little bit too much room in the forefoot section, so I think this fits more like a true running shoe or more typical daily trainer. So I thought the fit was good, Lockdown, true to size. The upper was just a good news story here. Moving on to the outsole, it's kind of a typical On setup here, same kind of rubber, a little bit thinner in the forefoot, a little bit thicker in the heel area for added durability. I will say it is rather thin in the forefoot, so we'll see how the durability holds up, but overall traction was fine, wasn't amazing, it got the job done. The whole forefoot section is closed off, so hopefully you won't have any issues getting rocks or acorns or whatever you guys run on getting stuck in your shoe. I know it's a problem with On running shoes typically. The heel area is open, so you may have that issue there, but for the most part, most of the outsole is closed off, so hopefully nothing will get stuck there. So those are all the basic facts about the shoe. Let's talk about what I liked and what I think could possibly be improved. The first big positive for me was the fit of the upper. It felt very nice, a very plush premium experience, true to size, just kept me very locked in and well contained, which is what you want from an upper. And as far as the breathability goes, again, not bad, not great. I thought it did its job and was actually surprised how breathable it was for being so comfortable. And the next positive for me was that it was rather versatile in a wide variety of life situations. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Well, On said this could be used for indoor training, so I tried it out at the gym and it actually performed very well. Typically, I don't like bringing running shoes to the gym because they're softer, you ruin the foam, and don't keep your foot as well contained for side-to-side movements, and I think this shoe did well. Now, it's not like a true powerlifting shoe, it's not a true like CrossFit shoe. Typically, I use like an actual like cross-training shoe when I go to the gym, but if I wanted one shoe to go running, go out on the town, or go to the gym in, I would definitely use the On Cloud Runner. So I think it works in a wide variety of situations for running, casual wear, walking, or the gym. It works well. Now, it's not the most versatile running shoe. I probably wouldn't use this for like an easy day. I wouldn't use this for like a long run and things like that. It's a light stability shoe for daily training runs, kind of that medium range I would say works best, but for life variety I think it works really well. However, this shoe wasn't perfect and there are a couple things I would probably change. The first thing I would change is probably make the insert a more dense foam so I don't feel that plastic speedboard so much under my foot. Again, it goes the insert, plastic speedboard, and then the foam, which is different than most other shoes because it's just the insert and then foam. So the experience here is going to be a little bit harder because you have that plastic plate. You feel a little bit more as you wear the shoe for a lot of time. So my personal experience, I just wish it was a little bit more cushioned with the insert. So the next thing I would potentially improve is the weight. I'd try to bring that down just a bit. This shoe's kind of creeping into the 11 ounce range. They kind of get that down to like the low 10s or like 9 ounce. I think that would be ideal. Now, yes, I realize this is like a light stability shoe. You can use it for training and things like that. So weight's not always an issue. But I think there is a couple things I could probably do just to bring down the weight just a little bit. And the last thing I might like to see on the next version is the Helion foam. So I love the Cloud Monster. That shoe seems to be a hit. I think it worked well for the On Cloud experience if you like that kind of technology and setup. I'd be curious what they could do if they put that in here, or maybe do a dual density foam setup. Now, I've read it on the internet. I think some people said they really enjoyed the cushioning here. Again, for me personally, it was on the firmer side of things, especially coming from the On Cloud Monster and all the other shoes I'm trying. It's definitely a firm experience, and part of that, I guess, is because the speedboard is right below your foot and that's compressing down the foam. That provides a whole different experience. But I would love to see what it looks like if you put Helion foam in here in strategic places, maybe kind of do some dual density posting, or just a whole, a different setup. I think you have some different tools, or On has some different tools that they can use to make the midsole maybe a little bit more lively. So that concludes the review. Let me know in the comments what you think of the On Cloud Runner. What do you think of the CloudTec Speedboard and the whole On Cloud cushioning system? I'm Ryan from Ryan's Running Reviews, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.